Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Best of All Worlds podcast here on the Nerds or Us channel. It's your old friends Jonathan and Jerry joining you once again for another exciting trek through the stars as we are trying to find the best ever episode of Star Trek ever aired. This is also a caveat to this coming out before season 3 of Picard is over, which is really making a strong argument for it at the moment. But nevertheless, before we get to that point, we are going to talk about our latest episode. So, Jerry, we are on our arc of character-driven episodes that we've done, and as is often the case, we've done a bit of a kind of an arc through the different type of characters we've had. So we've had Dr. Phlox as I suppose the forefront of the Enterprise characters. We've had, of course, our mandatory Picard episodes. We've also done one with Spock, which was a very much a dark horse in the end. But now we're going on to Deep Space Nine, and as we've mentioned many times on this show, we wax lyrical about how brilliant Deep Space Nine is and how many characters very much worthy of investigation. We're kind of spoiled for choice here, I think it's fair to say, Jerry, but we've honed in on one in particular for this next episode.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Like,
that was a terrible link. I'm sorry.
yes, we have. It's no surprise to anyone now who's been watching the show that Deep Space Nine is my favorite series. Although I tell you, season 3 of Picard is really giving it a run for its money. That has been exceptionally good, and the fact that we're in a situation where I'm one of these people who likes to try and guess what's going to happen next, and I haven't got a single fucking thing right, not a single thing. And it just I'm looking at going, what's actually going on here, and that's what's exciting about it, because you really can't predict what's going on. I have made some educated guesses about certain things, but obviously it's all spoiler now, so we can't really talk about it now. But it's exceptionally good. So we will review Picard obviously at another stage when it's all said and done. But Deep Space Nine for me is the crown really of Star Trek. You know, some people prefer Next Generation or the original series or Voyager or whatever. Deep Space Nine for me was the best because it was the grittiest. It was the one that seemed more real. You know, Next Generation just seemed far too goody two shoes. You know, really.
Yeah, it was very much very Roddenberry shaped, as in like
exactly,
because he wanted to make a show where there's no interpersonal conflict. This is like, do you hate your writers? Is this a rib? Like, what do you expect them to do? Like, and you can see that they were kind of desperate for content after the second season, when they couldn't really milk any more out of it. But yeah. At least Deep Space Nine wasn't under any illusions that the 24th century or whichever isn't that much different to what we have here.
Exactly, yeah. I think you've got the best cast of characters. You've got a very diverse cast of characters. I think you've got one of the best captains. You've got one of the best crews. You've got one of the best ships. In all of Star Trek as well, and the fact that you've got this space station as well, and people complain about the fact that the show's called Star Trek, so trekking through the stars, but it's a space station that stays still, and I'm like, that's not what it's about. It's about stuff that happens in space. It's about meeting new races. You've got the wormhole there for a reason, so they're able to travel. You know, it's not like they're constantly staying still. It's a bit ridiculous the way people go on, but that's the fandom, unfortunately. But we're going into an episode now that is very much a dark horse. I think so, because it's one of those episodes that it really gets you by the gut when you watch it.
Yeah.
It is very gut wrenching when you watch it. Well, I remember watching it first, and I think the thing that got for me the most was actually the music. This is one of those episodes where it's not just like the copy and paste of other episodes with the same music.
Has the score to it, yeah.
And this is fantastic for like the acting. This is going to score high. I believe this is going to score high, but we're not there yet. But of course, we're talking about the episode The Visitor. It is one of those episodes that you tend to talk about when you watch it. It's not like A lot of episodes in Star Trek, you'll watch and go, "That was great," but then you forget about it and move on.
Yeah.
This is an episode where you actually sit down with other fans and go, "Geez, what do you think of that? That was good, wasn't it?" Yeah, that
Mm.
was very good. There, you know, there's nothing about this episode that is bad, really. Let's be perfectly honest with you. It is just a really, really, really good episode of any type of show.
Yeah.
It's and as I said, it's a gut wrenching, heartstring pulling episode. That obviously, it has the good parts and the bad parts. Um, but rather than me trying to explain it, let's kick it off and go from there.
Exactly, because we will certainly be waxing lyrical over it in the review. So like I said, this is very much quite literally the best of all worlds. This is both half watch along and half review. So if you want to watch the episode along with us on your streaming device of choice, then by all means do so. When we press play, you press play along with us, and we basically provide our alternate commentary over the episodes. But if not, then you can give us about 45 minutes, skip to the halfway point, and you can hear our reviews and other bits on the episode. It's entirely your choice. But we do very much appreciate the watch time on the algorithm. So give us at least even have us on mute for 45 minutes. I don't mind. But either way, we'll obviously go for that point there. So Jerry, are we ready to start watching
Ready?
The Visitor? All right then. So as is a tradition, we will count off from here. 3, 2, 1, engage.
Instantly,
Different.
instantly with the music, instantly with the music. It's fucking. This is one of those. I'm very much a fan of listening to theme music and music from shows and movies and stuff like that. This is on the playlist because it's that good.
It's also
So good.
it also shows the power of an opening scene
Yeah,
because you've already set your stall out. Like first shot is very clearly off the DS9.
yeah,
Then you have pictures, you've got baseball, and then what the hell is going on here? It's all immediately like this is a different episode completely.
yeah,
And not to say like we're picking bad like favorites in terms of seasons, but the episodes before this was The Way of the Warrior.
yeah.
So we're officially at the point where DS9 properly hits the turbo.
Oh yeah. And let's be honest, when you look at this person,
Mm.
you don't realize it's Tony Todd. You really don't.
No, it does. It's again, it's a makeup as well. But like Tony Todd carries himself in very different ways. He's very much one of those type of actors that like the voice gives him away absolutely, but his body language is different with every role. But the fact is, this is the fucking Candyman. Like this is the most jarring
Yeah.
thing. Like
Lisa wanna be. And the truth is, I was looking for you. You are Jake Sisko, the writer.
Fangirls, eh?
You should read more.
I mean it.
Huh.
Your books, they're so exciting.
Yeah. Good as
Thank you.
I didn't realize people still read my books.
Of course they do. Friend recommended Anselm to me, and I read it straight through twice in one night.
They reference Anselm and previously in the series as well. That was a novel he has been working on for even when he was a child, as far as I know.
I finally found someone whose writing I really admired, and it only published 2 books.
Not much to show for a nice work, is it?
It's a very small thing as well, but there's a model of DS9 just in the background there.
Yeah. I've never actually noticed that before.
Yeah.
Never noticed that.
There's all little knickknacks around the area. And again,
No.
it was a HD version of this show. You'd see so much more. It's
Only
The fans have been asking for it, but we haven't gotten it yet.
not yet.
and only one last time to. You think about such things when you get to my age. That today may be the last time you sit in the favorite chair. Or watch the rain. Or enjoy a cup of tea.
ask you something? You weren't even 40 when you stopped writing. I never understood why you did that.
It's a long story.
Tom, tell me. Yes.
You had shown up yesterday. Somehow it seems like the right time.
That is the power of an opening scene.
Yeah.
That is what an opening scene can do to your episode. Because you've already set out everything that you want to tell there. And just
Yep.
even there's some individual lines there that are literally telling you the entire episode story. And you're not even realizing it yet. It just hasn't played out yet. That's it. Like could very well be one of the best opening scenes I've seen so far in the series.
Yeah.
Like, and we haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Like literally what's it, 4 minutes in?
4 minutes in, like it's already set a stall out. You know, someone's really add the second bit of that Enterprise back. I don't know why. Like they just need to. I feel the Nebula class is like what happens if you don't like keep the mortgage on a galaxy ship.
That's I love them. I love a Nebula class. I
I
think Nebula
do, I
class
do. I love
are-
the kitsch.
I think they're class.
Yeah.
I think they're class. It's something about this intro just gets me.
Mm,
But what you do is you notice when you go from season 3 to season 4,
yeah.
they add something to
It
the
gets
music.
busier.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's busier every season. Yeah. And they add a little bit more to the music each time as well.
yeah. There she is.
Ah,
Now there is one thing I will say about Deep Space Nine
mm,
is that when it comes to sizing of things,
yeah.
they really don't get it right.
Nope, they do not.
They really don't.
Someone
Right.
needs to read the technical manuals, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Just like, although they're still making that mistake as recent as Picard season 3. So
Yeah. Unfortunately.
yeah. But like, I'm not to talk over Tony Todd here, but like already in the first few kind of like minutes of the episode, he's getting across the sheer amount of sorrow Jake Sisko has at this moment in time. Just
Yeah.
it's so much grief that he's kind of like he had made a joke to kind of laugh it off there, but
Yeah.
he's not hiding his grief very well.
If you didn't get it from the music alone, then you got it from
Yeah.
his sheer brilliant performance.
Oh, and this is like this is genuinely one of those guest like roles that you are dreaming of if you're
Yeah.
an actor of his qualities.
Let's go. Of course, what he didn't realize was that I could hide away under the fire just as easily as I could on the station.
In one of the most generic rooms possible.
Mm-hmm.
This only happens once every 50 years. You will never forgive yourself if you miss it.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
But that's what you said 10 minutes ago.
Like this last paragraph, but
I thought you were going to put that aside for me. I tried, but it's all I can think about. Well, it seems to me I poke my head up every once in a while and take a look around. See what's going on.
I'm also giving an extra point to this episode because we're now at Prime Sisko, bald head and beard.
Okay.
Ultimate Sisko is when he gets the grey uniform.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, careful now.
Sisko to bridge. What happened?
Metric field is surging. Benjamin, but we've got another problem. The power output from the warp we're just off the scale.
Sisko to engineering. Engineering, report. Dax, I'm going to see what's going on down there. Stay here, Jake.
Is there dust in his shoulder there? Is it just my imagination?
What's that?
Is there dust in his shoulder there when he was coming out, when he was stepping out? Just noticed that's there. There's like little white powder on his shoulder.
I didn't see it now.
Yeah, weird.
They might have filmed something like this scene before that one.
Yeah.
You have to say to yourself, you question, where in the name of Jesus is Chief O'Brien?
The one time I take a fucking day off to go back to Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the one looks like a P90. Gotcha.
I'm going to try shutting the excess power out from the deflector array.
Warning. Warp breach in 20 seconds.
Just a little more.
Look.
I'm not sure I can live in a business in Greenland.
Realize this.
Not really in your case, Jake. No. What was Worf saying to the service? He liked baseball.
Benjamin Sisko.
That is all.
And he was a good fighter.
I liked his beard.
Demonstrate to my
I'm emotionally related to him. Fine.
most important.
I'd say Morn spoke the most, let's be honest.
Yeah, in fairness, like Morn he just fucking drags on, man.
Yep.
It's in the extended part of the extended scenes of this episode.
Everyone went up to pay, especially Dax. She was my father's closest friend, and I guess she felt responsible. After a few months, things started returning to normal.
4 hours after Moran tells me about his kids.
We have Pulse Suite 3 for half an hour. Great. Get down to the storm and bring up 5 kegs of Bavarian meat. Yes, Silo. Sorry. Looks like we're going to lose our Holliswood reservation. Nod. Things seem to be slowing down a bit. I get someone else to bring up those kegs.
Emotional awareness from Quark. What sort of weird episode is this?
Let's be honest, we know he's a good man. We know he's a good man. Simple as fucking that.
That. Damn him and his feelings.
Kid, I'm working God soon. We probably won't see each other. What are your plans? Well, taking that first mission and going to Pennington. Oh, that would be great. We'll both be on Earth together.
Again, a lot of like Tony Todd obviously gets the nod here for being the kind of the chief actor here, but a lot has to go to Sir Rock Lofton as well, because he's essentially kind of like having to follow different stages of grief in very isolated pockets.
Yeah.
The uniform is definitely either dusty there and that's in that part there.
Yeah.
It was weird. It's like there was dirt already on the uniform before that happened. Again, it could have just been my eyes there, but
They obviously filmed it out of sequence.
sequence, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was on the show that's like not on camera side, so might not have seen it.
The child insisting his parents check bed. She tried to tell me it was probably just did my best. I've been around the station for the next 8 or 9 months. Story is something that if
Yeah, I have that problem too.
For long, they had bigger things to worry about.
War.
Tensions with the Klingons.
What is it good for?
Klingons, apparently.
Kind of religion compared to toward people. And when he died, they took it as a sign, convinced that the Federation wouldn't be able to protect them from the Klingons. Eventually, Bajor entered into a mutual defense pact with the Cardassians, and the Klingons didn't like that at all. The station's civilian population was leaving en masse. They knew that if war broke out against the Klingons, Deep Space Nine was going to be on the front line.
But is it that it sounds crazy, but then like that also shows you how precarious everything was at the time.
Yeah.
Like because of how significant Sisko's death is, like the Bajorans are willing to like get back into bed with their oppressors. Like it's insane.
It's a voluntary resettlement, not an evacuation.
But it would be prudent that you leave at this time. I suppose I wasn't feeling very prudent that day because I ignored this.
Jane, I wanted to talk to you about something. Your grandfather, and he told me that he asked you to go with him.
I don't like oysters. Again, it's also like this is also the difference when you have a really strong supporting cast in an episode, because they also have to act in this kind of vacuum. It's like, right, Sisko's dead, you need to act like it. Boom, go.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I actually touched him that I knew this wasn't a dream. But something was wrong. I didn't understand everything they were saying.
I see O'Brien has got the fucking hell pose on the with the hips on the shoulders. Fucking hell.
He's going to turn around and go, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ! Georgie fucking Borges!
That's a great shot.
It is a good net. Like a barbershop quartet ready to kick off.
Yeah.
Sisko, 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 Sisko. I've just got a small case of time paradox.
See this shot here. They've done this shot a number of times in different episodes. And
Yeah.
Sarah Clofton's actually talked about it, how Avery Brooks always repositions his head to make his face the camera. So you actually see it there. He grabs his face, he brings it slightly that way.
Yeah.
So his face is facing the camera. That's how good Avery Brooks is. He knows exactly what to do. Like
it's camera awareness. Because again, he's not the important part of the scene. It's Jake. That's what he's looking for. Yeah.
That containment field now, Chief. Feel that. It's not working. Jake. Yeah. Gotta try locking onto him with the transporter key. Don't leave me.
The containment field didn't last long, did it?
no. God damn, Chief O'Brien.
Fucking hell.
Or wait, something? No. Telling me all this is hard for you. Maybe I should come back some other time.
No.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in my 30s. I feel that. Back
I'm nearly
pain.
40. I'm nearly 40, and I feel that.
Oh, you're get your fucking bus pass now, man. Honestly.
You have my attention already.
Sounds like you're waiting for something that happened that's going to turn you into.
Waiting. We're doing a lot of reading, to see how it's done. And I'm still trying to figure out what isn't going to right now.
Yep. Struggling with shoe rider. Massive procrastinator.
With your father, did you ever see?
I just had this one mental image of just Gowron at at Quark's going, "More ale for my big eyes."
I was left with no choice. Get on. I went to Earth, drifted around, eventually ended up studying. After graduation,
I've been there. It's still called Sisko's. And on the wall, there's a copy of the letter your publisher sent you when he accepted your first novel.
He was just as proud.
You wrote Ansley in this house.
Yes, right over there.
But this pen, I got 84% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And 85% from fucking
Yeah,
yeah.
IMDb.
No, what I meant to say was plagiarism.
Yeah. Now there's the real Tony Todd.
Good to see you.
Did you start the grill?
What do we have?
I love how they've subtly aged Nog ever so
Yeah.
slightly.
Sometimes it's all in the uniform, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just his octave, his voice has just dropped a smidge.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
The Klingons agreed to let Starfleet send an expedition to the wormhole. They said it was in the spirit of scientific exchange, but I think they were having Alice test the waters of the Gamma Quadrant after all these years, find out how the Dominion would react to ships coming through. I'm sorry to say it's looking a little run down these days. But you'll never guess who's still there. Not your father. No, he and my uncle left years ago. Quark finally got that little moon he was always talking about.
Oh.
And my father, as usual, is making sure it doesn't fall out of orbit. But Morn is still there, running the bar.
Talking his customers' ears off and drinking himself.
It is my favorite running gag of the show. Perhaps Star Trek is that they always say he never shuts the fuck up. You never see him speak a word. You can thank John Goodman for that one.
May the years continue to be good. And your news continue to inspire. I mean, someone make a holo program out of one of your stories so you can start raking in the ladder.
Nope. The scene transitions are fantastic in this episode. They're just so jarring.
Yes.
Again, small thing there, but the baseball is on his table.
Yeah. Dirt.
Dirt. Stick that in your fucking novel. I do like as well that, like, even when he's grown up, Sisko still loves the cringy sweater.
Yeah.
It's just part of him now.
Yes.
Oh, whooshing.
He was just behind the couch all that time, that dirty old bollocks.
He's just going, nice. I think we've had this conversation before, Benjamin. We don't have the time.
You did it. I always knew you would.
I don't know why, but I really love those the little LED screens in the hardback.
What?
I have to say though, he really channeled Sarah Clofton.
He does, yeah.
He really does.
I think there was a bit of like there must have been a bit of shadowing going on there just to kind of get
Yeah.
the knack of it. 'Cause I think like was Tony Todd in the Way of the Warrior? Was Kern in that episode? I can't remember.
No,
Oh.
he's
He's
in
definitely
an episode. He's in an episode 2 or 3 episodes after this.
Yeah. I know they record stuff out of order and all that, so unless they did it during that, maybe.
Yeah.
Now winning smile. Oh, he's gone again.
Few seconds.
That's why he always lives on the moon. Even if you work on its effect, it's like maybe
And he used to be lying on a chair for some reason. Mm-hmm.
So I decided to put aside. So I but loopholes. Captain, we bound up the old.
Well, the old this is Star Trek 6 all over again, lads.
You just wait around with the Klingon High Council. They gave us the mission.
Old man Bashir. Eh.
I love how the two of them are still the same rank after all
Yeah.
these years. It's been 50 fucking years. 50.
They got married and they settled down. The old man makeup always makes me laugh. It just looks so classically nowadays.
Yeah.
Are you ready over there, Dax?
That's all I can do. The replicators, we're just about the only thing still working for it. It's a black thing too. Dax isn't any good to anyone. Days are gonna come up.
I love how that when you look at this uniform and you look at any alternate future uniforms, they're very similar to this. And
It's
they
always the same
adopted
one.
this for Picard.
Yeah.
Like the current uniform is this, except it's black from the breast down.
Was it quiet last time?
Where I modulated the shields, channel the image wave into this apparatus.
When subspace begins to fragment, we'll try to run people. If the accident created a subspace thing completely Jake, there'll be a bomb. Breadcrumbs to follow.
And this is my old man voice. I'm Alexander Siddig, available for all bookings.
The wormhole.
The big field fragmentation is beginning. It's working.
I think I've got the captain's signature.
There we go. That's looking very Avery Book shaped.
Something's happening. I'm losing him.
We're losing them both. They're being pulled into subspace.
I'm just waiting for Q Picard to go. Oh shit! We'll move. We'll go. We'll go.
Or the Prophet.
Yeah.
We could be inside some sort of subspace flight. Sisko to Dax. Can you read me? Drop the Defiant back to the wormhole. We're trying to rescue you. Dax, if you can read me, try to lock onto my signal. Look at you. You're older than I am. Why can't they lock onto us? Jake, they're doing the best they can. There's nothing we can do from here.
Let's just stand in the white together.
Yes. What about those grandchildren we talked about? There was so much I had to do. That's by boosting the carry amplitude. Maybe you can. What's happened to me? This chance. If it's over, it's not going to work. If not for yourself, then for me. You have time to make a better life for yourself. Say you do that. See.
Also, very in character for Ben Sisko to think that. Like the fact that he's like realized that like Jake has stopped writing. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Get on with your life. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now, this would make, if this was 50 years later, that's making Jake Sisko 68 years old.
Yeah.
It's also making Dax and Bashir in their
80s, 70s, 80s.
70s, 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to see something.
Now, in fairness, we have like extended our lives a little bit in the future. So, on our average age in the future is about like 109 thereabouts, 100, mid hundreds. So, you can thank that delicious Vulcan diet.
It's a collection of new stories. I decided to honor my father's request and try to fulfill my item. Writing stories is the best way I did to do that. I'd like you to have a copy. Let me get you
These instead.
one. Right. Those have handwritten notes all over them.
I know. I want to study them so I can see the changes you made.
You want to be a writer. Well, I was tinkering with the last story just this morning. Besides, if you publish posthumously, nobody can ask you for rewrites. I was hoping to finish another 2 stories, but there isn't enough time.
You keep on saying there's no more time.
See, the last attempt to rescue my father spent months trying to figure out. Eventually, I came to understand the nature of what was happening to him. It was as if he was frozen in time for multiple years. And the leap between us was like an elastic.
So you made a noise like this.
I realized that my mission
I can imagine a quantum physicist listening and going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" About 5 minutes. Put the kettle on. Like he hasn't even started, like finished a sentence. He's already crying. Like,
I want you to promise me something. You're studying my stories. Your head up everyone's. see what's going on. It's
Call back.
it was a pleasure.
Again, this is the difference when you do have like bespoke music for this episode.
Yeah.
I just find it so quaint when they still have paper in the century, but then of course it's all replicated now. You can have as much paper as you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bernard. Understand? It's what can you say? No! I still have so many years left. No. Not for me.
And he's back again. Boom.
Well, I was coming.
Yes. They were just lucky this time.
You okay, Dad?
Define okay, because
Now, I just want to point out he's perfectly clean.
yeah. The question of a uniform, eh? And we leave it there. Right. Okay, that was intense.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have really good when you have really good actors, really strong writing, and some music to go with. It's sometimes it is as simple as that when you get a proper episode like that into you. But yeah, that was The Visitor. As we said, it's a very, very strong episode. We're going to review it now shortly, but as we always do, we have a look around and see what we can find in our guest stars. So if you're not familiar with this part of the show, basically we look into who was guest starring in this episode and essentially find any fun facts about them and see if my co-host Jerry Soul recognizes any of those familiar faces from previous Trek entries. So I'm going to start off with our first actress, who is only a one and done in Star Trek, I'm afraid. Her name is Rachel Robinson, and she played Melanie in this episode.
Yeah.
Melanie, obviously played by Rachel Robinson. She's currently 47 at the moment, and she is currently a singer and songwriter, and she's released some self-titled EPs. And in EPs such as Platonica Files, My Pleasure, and Sella Swimming is her 3 EPs. She's also been in the likes of ER and Judging Amy, and in the films Lose a Love Can't Be Heaven and He's Such a Girl. But that is not the fun fact about her, Jerry Saul, because I want you to hone in on the surname Robinson there.
Oh, would she be related to Andrew Robinson?
She's the daughter of Andrew Robinson.
She's Garrick's daughter.
She's Garrick's daughter. Yeah.
Fucking hell. There is zero family resemblance.
And would you believe she was also a leading candidate for Esri Dax initially? So she was on the shortlist for Esri Dax back in the day.
She obviously would have had to change her hair and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's surprising that she didn't get that, because she was actually quite good in this episode.
She was fantastic, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that certainly it's the acting tree does all fall short in that sense. But yeah, that's a very fun fact for you there.
That's mad. Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah. Now, like I said, she hasn't had many roles outside of that. Very much, a lot of her kind of our life's work has been in the songwriting aspect of it. But obviously she's had her guest role in this and in her other shows as well. But everyone was very complimentary of her. Like the Visitor's director, which is David Livingston, thought she was fantastic, and Ira Stephen Bear very much kind of like almost felt like they felt like they could use her a bit more, but like just I think the parody episode I think says a lot more. So we'll certainly talk about her and everything else later on in the episode. But yeah, certainly like I turn up for the books there, just go like, oh, here's Garrett's daughter. And, you know, you can't tell from the crazy eyes. You know, there's no Machiavellian plots there whatsoever. You know, It wasn't just a great mastermind to get Jake Sisko's latest novel. You know,
well, you never know.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
The timeline was changed, so we'll never know.
We will never know, exactly. So next up then in our trip is Galen Gorg, who played Karina in this episode. So she is not a one and done, Jerry. She has played a second role in Star Trek.
And can I hazard a guess?
You can hazard a guess, absolutely.
Was she a Maquis?
You're very close. You're right in saying that it's Voyager.
No, I thought she was actually a Maquis from a Deep Space Nine episode, so I've gotten that wrong. So Voyager, No, see, because I got it wrong, I haven't a clue now. So go ahead.
Okay. Outside of playing Karina in this episode, she also played Nori, who was the Alarian wife to Tyrion. You remember the episode Warlords, where Janeway had to kill Nori and to basically escape the ship. You know, the kind of like the Autarch and the son was involved in it as well. I think Kess was kidnapped by this crowd. I think.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yes, so Nori was the wife. So Galen played both characters there. So Nori and Karina in the in Star Trek lore. As for Galen herself, predominantly a choreographer and dancer. Kind of like I suppose very similar to background to Gates McFadden, actually. Funny enough.
Well, she likes Ghost as well.
I couldn't possibly comment. Although in fairness, she was actually in Twin Peaks, so maybe. Is all I can say. But yeah, like she appears in 2 episodes of Star Trek, you mentioned there. But elsewhere on her resume, you can obviously have Twin Peaks. She's also in the superhero series Mantis as Lieutenant Laura Maxwell, and she's also in the likes of Xena Warrior Princess, Hercules, and Stargate. Over the years as well. She's also been in quite a lot of prominent shows like The A-Team, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, CSI Miami, Lost, and Parks and Rec as well.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's quite an impressive back catalogue. Movies wise, you're looking at the likes of Stranger in Paradise, RoboCop 2, and Point Break as well. She's in. So, yeah. Otherwise, she also has a famous father in Alan Gorg, who she's worked as producer on his projects. So the drama Earth Spirit is her work, along with the comedy Hollywood Love. Actually, I just had to check in there. She actually has passed away, I'm afraid. She passed away 2 years ago from cancer. I'm afraid, just the day before her 56th birthday, which is a terrible shame there.
Wow.
So yeah, just unfortunately, one lost to a horrible illness, but like I said, though, just for even the guest role alone, I think she did very, very well there.
Yeah.
Although, fun fact, I think I'm just reading here. Yeah, so the episode, her costume from this episode of I think the Voyager episode, or possibly the other one, it was actually worn by someone else in the Unimatrix Zero episode. You know, where they all have their thing. So the same costume basically. And hilarious enough, it was all sold off as an auction in the It's a Wrap sale, which a lot of the Star Trek kind of like accoutrements and other like props and stuff like that got sold off for charity. So it was just kind of weird, just like, here's a costume, take this, let someone else wear it. But yeah, that's again in Gorg. So now we're going to go up to 2 very big names in Star Trek. And this one does count as a guest role at the moment, because at this point in time, he was just a guest role. Aaron Eisenberg. So
I take umbrage with that, because he was Nog. He was Nog. You don't. No, I don't take him as a guest star. Now, obviously, you're going to have some information, so I'm going to let you say what you need to say. But my bollocks was he a guest star? He was a member.
No, I would also agree with this myself. But what I would say to that is that, again, like for the guest role in this is like season 4. Yes, he's a supposed guest role, but that's also calling Andrew Robinson a guest role and all that
exactly.
Sort of stuff.
And my fuck, nobody calling him a guest.
No, absolutely not. No, but for the purpose of this little bit, we are actually going to talk about Mr. Eisenberg and his work, and we're also going to see how many times have you spotted him in Star Trek.
Okay. So he was obviously Nog.
Yes.
I believe, and I've never actually confirmed this, but I believe he played another Ferengi in the episode, the Union episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you think he's played, like, is this the one that's on the Enterprise episode, or is it separate?
No. Deep Space Nine episode where Rom formed a union against Quark, and there was like Ferengi there, and that was played by Aaron Eisenberg.
Okay,
so that's 2. There was the paper boy in, is it Far Beyond the Stars?
Will be Far Beyond the Stars, yeah.
There was the Kazon boy. No, I'm gonna go with 4.
You are technically correct with 4. So you're right with Nog. You're right with the news vendor. and you're right with Carr, which was the Kazon child from the episode Voyager episode Initiations.
Yeah.
From what I can see here, I don't believe he was one of the extra Ferengi in that episode of the Unions.
Right.
But he does technically have a credit as one of the Holosuite guests in the last episode of DS9 was What You Leave Behind. You know how like they had we had this with Jeffrey Combs where basically they were all out of costume basically and just like random guest suits. So like if you look, I think you look back at that actual scene, you'll see Jeffrey Combs, you'll see Mark Alamo, you'll see everyone, and including our Stephen Bear, they're all there in the maelstrom, which I think is a lovely little Easter egg. You can count Nog being in the mirror universe as well, but I don't. So yeah, we're looking at 4 here. So
I will have to check that episode out because I've always thought it was him. Because he's the same height, it looks like him, and he changes his voice. And I was like, right, I'm going to have to do the research on that to find out if it's him. But okay, no, I'll accept that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like again, even though we don't agree with the guest role situation, it does give us a wonderful opportunity to talk about somebody who was a central part of Deep Space Nine for a long, long time, and for I think a lot of people, like one of the most popular men on the roster as well. I mean, like it's like Sir Rock Lofton just has to speak a few words about how him and Aaron were best friends. They did a podcast together for God's sake, and everything else, and just how the two men were drawn together just from the role and just got on like a house on fire. And that's not just about Sir Rock Lofton. Like everyone will say the same thing about Aaron Eisenberg, especially Max Groschenik, Armin Zimmerman, all the Ferengi cohorts. They all piled together, and the show brought them together as well.
Yeah.
Especially with his untimely death a couple of years ago, I think it obviously kind of like made a lot of the cast reflect because they had only recently lost Rene Auberjonois as well. Yeah. And to lose two members of that core roster so suddenly, I think is also kind of made them a lot more reflective and appreciative of the time they've had together. And but like I said, like it wasn't just about Nog. Like Aaron Eisenberg did some incredible stuff outside of Star Trek as well, which we're going to go through now. And I suppose the first thing you can do is talk about his comic book, which was The Rules of Diplomacy. And he worked with that alongside Mark Paniccia, and it was all about the Malibu celebrity scene and so forth. So that was one of his major projects. And hilarious enough, you mentioned J.G. Hertzler and Robert Rooney doing the Klingon improv conventions. Yeah, they did the exact same thing. They did the Ferengi Family Hour with himself, Max Groschenik, Chase Master, and Cecilia Adams, all doing bits as Ferengis on conventions, which I just find hilarious. It's like just having everyone just there, like just rambling on about family warfare and all that sort of stuff.
I remember when I went to it was a Star Trek convention in Birmingham, and it was just shortly after he had died, and I remember going to a few of the panels, and a few of the stars that were there were talking about what Aaron meant to them, and it was very touching. It was definitely a get the tissues out type of moment because they all spoke very fondly of him. I had a private conversation then with J.G. Hertzler, and they had some time spent together on screen. There was a few scenes together, and he said he was just such an amazing person. He would do anything for anybody. And it was just a horrible thing to happen. He had gotten a kidney transplant, and it was basically coming to the life of the kidney, and he needed another one, and unfortunately he didn't get one. And it was just horrible. And it happened so quickly as well. I followed him I was following him at the time on Twitter, and he would put stuff up every single day, and then it was his girlfriend at the time came on and announced that he had died, and it was one of those, you watch these characters and you kind of familiarize yourself with them, so it's a big shock when something happens to one of them, and especially at a young age. He was only in his 30s, he was very, very young. It's horrible. It really is, but he has a legacy now that that can be seen whenever you watch an episode of Deep Space Nine or anything else he was in, and it's fantastic, really
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. Yeah, like as you said, like he had to go undergo a kidney transplant because of a faulty kidney when he was a teenager, and that's what kind of stunted his growth as well. So he got he was only like 5 feet tall, and that's essentially like how kind of Nog came to be in a very strange way, because we're looking for like a child actor for Nog, but then they saw they had this like fantastic actor in Aaron Eisenberg who could do anything in that sense, and like it just kind of got like a bit lucky there, but luck had nothing to do with it. It was also the fact that he was exceptionally talented and like was well worthy of the role. He obviously has two. So he's also remembered by two sons, which is Nicholas and Christopher Eisenberg. He himself died at age 50. He actually got like incredible.
Oh, sorry. I
50,
thought he
yeah.
was in his 30s at 50. Jesus Christ.
50, yeah.
You wouldn't have known he was 50, though. You really wouldn't have.
No, you wouldn't. And again, like it's the kind of the deposition is also kind of deceiving as well. But yeah, it's for the time he's had on this earth, there's definitely a legacy there, and it's always remembered in Star Trek as well. Like if you're looking back into Star Trek Online canon, he's the first Ferengi captain in Starfleet, and even in Discovery, I believe there is a ship named after him, which I think is wonderful.
There was two things. There was the USS Nog,
Yes,
which was one, and then there was the Eisenberg class.
the Eisenberg class. That's it.
The
Yes.
Eisenberg class as well. So he was definitely remembered, and a very touching tribute. You even look at Star Trek Online, which he actually did a lot of work on.
The voice acting for it, yeah.
As he did voice acting for Nog, and even to this day, the missions that you play with, online with Nog are still there, and it's still him doing the voice. And you can even go to Quark's bar, and he's standing there. His character is standing there, and you can interact with him and whatnot. So it's a nice little tribute to him.
Yeah, he definitely won't be forgotten anytime soon.
No.
In his other works, you can find him elsewhere in, I suppose, they started off in movies, which was Beverly Hills Brats, which was technically his first acting appearance, in which Whoopi Goldberg also featured. Funny enough, again, small world syndrome. You've also got movies like The Horror Show, Amityville 4, Playroom, and Prayer to Roller Boys, and all sorts. In terms of TV series, you're looking at the likes of Tales from the Crypt, Brotherly Love, and The Secret World of Alan Mack would be a few episodes he featured in as well. But obviously, Deep Space Nine is I suppose what the role he'll be kind of remembered for the most. And like I said, there's absolutely no need to forget him anytime soon. But yeah, so like I said, we call it a guest role, but really it was just the excuse to pay tribute to an integral part of the show for a long time. Now this man, I think, definitely serves as one of the best guest stars I think we can ever ask for in Star Trek. Tony Todd.
Yeah.
So, Jerry, I get the feeling you're gonna be able to rattle these off at the top of your hand. But how many times has Tony Todd featured in Star Trek?
Because I knew this question was coming.
Yes.
So obviously he played old Jake Sisko.
Mm-hmm.
He played Kern Klingon.
Yeah.
He played Herosian.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know his name. But it's at that point I went. So he played Kern. He played Herosian. He played Jake Sisko, and I'm like, and I just have it in my head that he played more, and I can't. I'm like shit. I'm like, did he do more? Did he? I don't know. So I'm just gonna go with those three.
You're gonna stick with the three, are you?
Yeah, I think I'm wrong.
You're not. You're absolutely correct. He only played three characters in Star Trek, and you rattled them off successfully with Kern, Worf's brother, Jake Sisko in this episode, The Visitor, and Alpha Herosian, which was didn't have a name, just Alpha Herosian, and again, it's from the episode Prey, which kind of like, again, another like delving into the Herosian class, as it were. But yeah, like that's kind of doing. It sounds like you're doing the service, but Kern obviously is perhaps the most prominent, in terms of like repetitive entries for Tony Todd. But I think I'll always remember him for this episode in particular. Again, we'll talk about a review shortly, but he's certainly in there. Now, if you were including fan-made productions, you could actually count Star Trek Axanar as one of his roles as well, where he kind of serves as a sort of a talking head as it were. But
He was
obviously,
was he a fleet admiral or fleet captain?
Fleet Admiral, yeah.
Fleet admiral.
Now, like I said, that production has gone through various different guises and so forth, and he's not involved in that anymore. But certainly, like there's been if you count that as one of his roles, it certainly is the case. But again, Tony Todd, I think, is one of those guys who just appears in everything and knocks every single one out of the park.
Yeah.
He's absolutely phenomenal. Again, he was one of the men considered for Benjamin Sisko in the day. And unfortunately, obviously, they've kept him in the Rolodex since because if you get access to Tony Todd, you fucking use Tony Todd. And he's also, if you want to count voice acting roles, he also is the voice of Korban in Star Trek Elite Force 2, if you want to go there as well. But certainly a very much a prominent actor in his own right. People will probably know him a lot for being Candyman.
Yeah.
Both in the original and in the remake, where he makes a cameo towards the end, which is really, really well done, by the way. But yeah, he's very much known for that. He's also featured in a lot of other horror movies. You've got Wishmaster, Night of the Living Dead, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's also in, and also in just various different roles such as Platoon, Lean on Me, The Rock, and Shadow Puppets as well. Then you have the the television appearances like Father Doubting Mysteries, The X-Files, Beverly Hills, NYPD Blue, Xena, Hercules, Smallville, Andromeda, 24, Angel, Stargate, Boston Legal, and he's also in Babylon 5. Like he's been
So he had one or two roles.
A few, yeah. He was also in one of his other prominent roles was in the series Chuck. He was the CI director Graham in that. He's also in the video game Half-Life 2. He was one of the voice actors for Half-Life 2.
I think he's done a good bit of voice acting, hasn't he?
I was about to say he was also in where is he? He heard as the voice of the Fallen, which is Megatron's mentor in the 2009 film Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. And he's also reappeared in Transformers Prime as well, the animated series.
Yeah.
Which was one of Alex Kurtzman's works, and that says a lot more about Alex Kurtzman, to be honest. But his most recent role actually is in The Orville, as a Mocklin ambassador. So again, Seth MacFarlane gushing as he does when he gets an opportunity to use Trek alumni. But yeah, like I said, I'm not doing justice when it comes to Tony Todd. Like he has been in so many things. Like I didn't even mention the likes of The Crow, The Man from Earth, and all these things. Like he's just been in so many things. One of those perennial actors who just nails every single role he's given.
Every single one.
And genuinely, like if there was ever an opportunity to get him for a full-time thing in Star Trek, you can bet your ass they'll jump and throw as much money as they can in the situation. But I think Tony Todd is one of those guys who he's great. It's almost a treat when you have him on an episode. Like he's in that kind of category as like say David Warner, for example. Like when you have an opportunity to use David Warner, it's almost like an opportunity to use him all the time. But this is a very much a luxury actor. This is someone that
you would want to use Warner and you'd want to use Tony Todd all the time, but I think it would be overkill if you did, because they would they would overshadow everything else around them because of their acting chops is just absolutely amazing, Now that's not to say I wouldn't want to see more of him. But if you had like a character like Garrick, who was maybe in, if they had 24 episodes a season, if he was in 6 of them, that type of thing, it would be fantastic. But no, Tony Todd is just out of this world talented. And it was so good to have him not only as Kern. He obviously played Kern in a number of episodes, and then he just did the one Deep Space Nine one there, and then obviously the Voyager one as well. But absolutely just fantastic, just stellar performances all around.
Yeah, absolutely. It just goes to show you, like it's just when you also have an actor like that then available, and you can almost tell sometimes, like you have him as Kern, but when you have a script like this, when you've got something good episode wise and you want the execution right, this is when you bring in the big guns. This is when you bring in someone of his quality, because otherwise the episode wouldn't have worked.
No.
It wouldn't have had that emotional punch. And again, we're going to get into that now shortly with a review. But yes, Jerry, full marks on your guest starring this week. We got there very well. Between Eisenberg and Todd, nicely done indeed. So, it's time to get on with the scoring then. So, which is, I suppose, the meat and bones of the episode. Will it trouble our top three? We are going to find out now. So, let's start off with the plot. So again, the premise obviously being that this is a later Jake Sisko kind of lamenting his life's work, or perhaps lack thereof in places, and obviously kind of sharing the story of his father's kind of death and rebirth and all this other like timey-wimey shit that's going on. But I'll leave it to you here, Jerry. Like, how we know about the opening hook, we know about how the story plays out, but this plot is strong. I think that's a fair thing to say.
It's beyond strong. You just have to watch the first 4 minutes to know how good of an episode it's actually going to be.
Yeah.
It was exceptionally good. The plot for this, there's a lot of Star Trek that, if you're doing if you're doing like another not a watch along, but another run through of your favorite series or favorite show, whatever, you might watch, say, 50-60% of it. There's a lot you'll skip past. It's like, that one was only okay, that one's only okay. You don't dare fast forward past this one. You don't dare skip this one, because it's up there as one of the best episodes, emotionally charged episodes in all of Star Trek, and not just in all of Star Trek, in all of television. Because of the acting in it was so good. The plot was just fantastic. You didn't really see where it was going. You kind of halfway through, you go, okay, we get it now. We know what you're doing. You're going to sacrifice yourself to save your father. We get that now. What I would have liked to see personally would be a little bit more after he came back, kind of like sitting down talking to Dax or something like that, and
it was a bit of a sudden end, wasn't it?
Like, it was. It was kind of like Endgame. In Voyager, it was just fucking ended. I'm like, oh, okay, that's that. Is it? Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, we're done. Good night, everybody.
Brilliant. But I'm not going to take points away from for that. But the plot was exceptionally good. This is ranking high for me, so I'm gonna have to go a 9 with this one.
And I agree with 9. Like I said, I think it's one of those ones where, in the proverbial elevator pitch, this is the one that makes the producer drop the cup of coffee. It's like, yes. But it's also an episode that you can only really do when you're in your 4th or 5th season of your run. When you have your characters established, you've already had like a run-in of episodes. This would, like, if you'd like, this could be almost a sequel to the episode where they have the Bajoran solar ship. And it's like because it works on a kind of a theme of the father-son bonding and how close that link is. Because you will get an occasional episode where you see Benjamin properly being the dad and like being the father figure there. And again, it was we've said it countless times, and I'm sure people who watch Trek will know this anyway. But it was very important for Avery Brooks, especially as a black man, to show himself being a strong father figure on camera. Because again, a lot of times those roles don't happen for black actors. And that says more about Hollywood. That says more about the institutional issues that they have there. But for Star Trek and for the frames that they have there, the fact that him and Sir Rock Lofton could show that bond on a regular basis on Star Trek is a lot more. And it crystallizes into an episode like this, where instead of having a father-son relationship, this is a son-father bond. This is where we flip it. How does the son repay that love and loyalty and trust that a father gives them? And that's where the real beat of the plot is. So 9 is an absolute dead set on that one. Next up then is setting. So again, we're talking about mood. We're talking about how they establish certain things as well, and this is a strong category for me as well, Jerry. I think you'd agree on this one. Like, a lot of it to me is the actual Sisko house, the way it's designed, but a lot of it is for me the opening part of the episode, which I'm waxing lyrical over, I know, but it's so important to how to set the scene.
Good, so good. For me, it was the fact that it was centralized around the house.
Yes.
Obviously, brand new set, something they can make completely. And I love the fact that you look at it and it could look very much like a house nowadays, except it's got automatic doors and a computer panel on the side wall. Although there are houses that have those panels now. Don't know about the
By the
automatic
25th
doors.
century, you consider that house rustic or like
Yeah,
that rustic
yeah.
charm.
But just if the entire episode was just in that house, I'd be like, yeah, fair play. It's definitely a high one for me. 8 to 9.
I'll say I'll say 8.5 myself, and the
Let's go.
reason I'm scoring high as well because I only like thought about this just when you were talking as well, because again with this kind of setting character we're talking about a lot of like kind of visual language as well. So yes, like even the Sisko's house has a lot of knickknacks and like mementos from DS9, like the baseball and all this stuff that you can see.
Yeah.
But then there's the kind of subtle parts as well, and for me it's actually the weather in this, right? So throughout the whole bulk of the explanation with Melanie, it's lashing rain, it's pelting down rain. It's a visual kind of metaphor for how Jake Sisko is kind of like so full of sorrow. But the last scene is beautiful morning, sunny skies, it's a new day, it's all this stuff. And the reason it is because it's the day he gets to cut the cord and save his father. It's the actual epiphany, it's that new beginning feel to it. Like that is not done by accident. That's not just like, oh, let's have a change of scenery for the crack. There's a logic to this. There's a reason why it's sunny. And again, it sounds stupid when you're looking at it, but this is the sort of stuff that a director thinks of and a producer thinks of, because what better way to get the point across than by seeing this kind of like weird optimistic weather, where we're talking about the man about to die, kind of way.
Yeah.
It sounds bizarre, but there's a genuine reason this happens, So yeah, I thought like small things like that really kind of like add into it. Obviously, like the find could have done with a few cobwebs. I thought, like it didn't really try to show any like future tech and all that sort of stuff outside uniforms. But that's small fry in this. Really, they're only little scenes in time. You don't have to nitpick those in a sense.
I'd imagine it was a budgetary thing. It's like, right, we've put the money into it. Jake Sisko's house. You're getting fuck off out of the find.
Yeah,
you're getting a few extra uniforms, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, like it is what it is. Like the defined scene is just like is a quick and cheerful, like, oh yeah, sure, we just got it the mothballs, it's fine. Captain Naga's got some sway, it's fine. All that stuff. So let's go on to writing. And again, like I said, I'm gonna say this a lot, but a very, very strong category here in terms of the writing. Again, I think it does suffer a little bit from a sudden end. Like a kind of a conclusion would have been nice to the story, but clearly there's a bit of a time constraint on this because this is a busy episode. But I think there's certain things written in the script that really telegraph what happens without you realizing it until you see, like, at the end of the scene what Jake's kind of like plan was overall, and it contextualized the conversation he's been having. But yeah, there's certain things in the dialogue that I just really, really liked. Very solid writing overall. I like the way, even for the little bits and pieces for Melanie to get to flesh her bit out. Even Dax and like Bashir, Nog, they all get a little bits in this episode that are separate to this whole story completely. It's just like, because it's a natural part of the conversation, this is what they would be like in this situation. It's bringing you into that little window of what's going on. I think they just knocked it out of the park generally. That being said, I don't think it was anything like spectacular in that sense, but all of it was really, really good. So I'm kind of looking at 8 to 9 again, Jerry. What would you think?
The only negative for me was the fact that it ended so abruptly. That was the only thing for me. I'll go in 8.5. So I'll meet you in the middle. 8.5.
8.5 it is then. So then we move on to acting.
And we give 20?
I'd love to give 20. But I think we can both agree on a 10 for this one. Yeah,
it's a 10. I don't even need to explain myself. If you've watched the episode, it's a 10 out of 10, and it's not a 10 out of 10 for one actor. It's not.
No.
It's a 10 out of 10 for nearly everyone on screen. Tony Todd, exceptional. Sisko, exceptional. But Sirach Lofton, he was just fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. So I don't really need to say any more. It's a 10 out of 10. Simple
No,
as
it
that.
is. It's one of the easiest tens I've ever given on the show because
Yeah.
even when you're going in, again, we hyped the episode up and perhaps have just like ensured that we gave this a 10, but we had to. I mean, like this is an episode where they're given this opportunity to show how who genuinely good these people are as actors.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing for Tony Todd being in the full body of the episode and being in the mindset of like, okay, it's Jake Sisko, he's lost his father, all this sort of stuff. But again, from the first scene, you can see very clearly see he's carrying that sorrow and he's just finding it hard to bottle it up because again,
Yeah.
he knows the time is coming that this is going to get fixed, and he's now able to tell the story. He's able to share this with somebody because now like all that life he's had has some sort of meaning. He's given the message. It doesn't matter what happens in that timeline to him. Like that's its own story. But as you said, it wasn't just Tony Todd here. Sisko himself, like going like, really, what the fuck are you doing? All these different things. Again, these are scenes that are just moments in time, and I think it's also props to the actual director on this as well to be able to get the actors into the state of mind of like, here's what's happened at this stage. You need to be this. You need to be this, and just again, it's an episode you can do when everyone's comfortable in their roles and they know exactly what they're doing. All the way down from Kira being in one full scene, where she's going from hard ass to genuine compassionate maternal figure, all the way down to say Bashir and Jadzia being a bickering old couple. Like they're all little pockets in time, and they're all just so well done in that sense. There's no bad roles in this. There's absolutely nobody poorly done here. And no one phones in. Even Melanie is fantastic just for the episode she's in. And like I said, she just carries the empathy really, really well. So yeah, definite 10. Absolutely no contest in this one. Next one then is action, and again, not an episode of fight scenes. But certainly there is a bit of a bit of attention and a bit of dynamic part of this episode as well. But this is where I'm not sure where we score this, because obviously we have the incident with the warp engine, and that kind of starts off everything in motion. But certainly this is an episode where it's not this isn't a fight scene episode. This is where you get that dynamic energy from somewhere else. So it depends on how we kind of define what that score is, I guess.
Well, you've got a couple of different points. You've got the initial accident. You've got the part where they try and recreate the accident. I dare say you could say like the little argument that they had right at the end there before Jake dies. There's a little bit of element of action to that. It's not the usual style. Oh, Klingons are invading the ship type of situation. It's a different type, but
different energies going on. It's like
exactly.
There's a bit of adrenaline rushes throughout the episode.
I can't mark this high because I can't. Now I'm not going to go lower. I'm not going to go 2 or 3. That's ridiculous. I'll go 6.
Yeah, I think 6 is a fair score, because like I said, I think there's one or two. The incident kind of like carries along the episode, and that's about it. But again, this is the proverbial weak point of the episode. But that's not a detriment. That is purely, it's the nature of this kind of episode. We had this with Tapestry as well, or even something like, say, look, Tapestry is a good example. Like you had the fight scene and all this sort of stuff, but you've had episodes where like it's just a nice relaxed episode. There's other stuff going on, and that's more important. And indeed, this is the case. So we move on then to effects. So again, this is anything from props to makeup to anything in between. And I have a mixed bag in this one. I always laugh for the aged makeup, especially when it looks so plasticky. In fairness, the DS9 was quite good. The TNG, they sometimes need to have a word with themselves when it comes to the aging makeup. I mean, what was it? The episode where Pulaski starts rapidly aging.
Oh my god!
And it's just like, hi, Captain, I'm doing absolutely fine.
In fairness, she looked like she was 3 years dead.
Yeah.
How
Maggie
bad
Thatcher
she looked.
Yeah. But yeah, it was the thing, like but I always makes me chuckle there, and I have to take a point off from that. But what I found with effects wise was the small things, the continuity bits.
Yeah.
As you said, like you drew attention to Nog there, looking that little bit older and kind of carrying himself a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's small things like the fact he's wearing the uniform and having different parts of his kind of costume changed up, and that carries him a little bit more. Small things like the novels having a little holographic symbol on them and all that sort of stuff. Very, very small things that just add a little bit of life to the scene. And that's all it needs sometimes, because like a bad prop or a bad like effect every now and then just takes you out of the episode, you know. I thought the actual effect of the phasing in it at a time was a bit simple looking. It looked like it was just like a fade out effect, which I think they could have like made it feel a bit more dramatic. It looked like a bit more of a fade, like a proper phase out. It was like it's gone, you know.
Yeah.
It was more of a wispy nature to it. I think it would have been more dramatic to it, but it is what it is. So yeah, I suppose with that then, like, kind of balanced out to a 7 to me on that one.
I'll go 7 as well. It's not all about like ships flying through space and battles and stuff like that. It's the subtle little things. It was the fact that there was the model of DS9, the baseball was there, the novels were there. The uniforms I think were another one as well, because the fact that that episode probably came out mid 96, 97, 98, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And when you look at that uniform, you're talking now it's over 20 years later and they're using that exact same design. Maybe not the exact color scheme, but the exact same design for Star Trek Picard, which is in 2023. You know, so it's incredible. I would. What did you say? 7, was it?
I said 7. Yeah.
I'll go with 7.
Yeah. Okay, doke then. So then we move on to score, and again,
10,
this is another. So
10.
yeah, we don't need to.
We don't even need to say it, because all you need is the first 30 seconds of music, and it's a solid fucking 10. And that is the most solid 10 I've had in terms of score since In the Pale Moonlight.
Yeah, I would actually say like this is on par with me with Amok Time. I think Amok Time still takes the biscuit. Takes the award for that.
Yeah. Amok Time. You've got Amok Time. You've got this episode, obviously, and you've got Amok Time. You've got In the Pale Moonlight, and you've got Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah,
like just.
But do you know what the common theme in that, outside of Amok Time, which I think gets this music from the middle of the episode, but the common thread of those 3 other ones we have is that from second 1 of the episode, the music has started. Yeah. And again, it is the art of the opening scene, of getting that gambit across of like, here's the mood of the episode, here's what's going on. With Best of Both Worlds, it's immediately a shrill. It's like there's something bad about to happen. In the Pale Moonlight, something bad has already happened. And whereas in this one, it's somber, it's melancholic, it's very it's morose. You know, there's a sadness to all this, but that's what makes it wonderful. Like, there are no like generic DS9 stings here. There are no little swells of music you get from the playlist. This is all bespoke, intentional design music for this episode, and I think a lot of its emotional pull would not have worked if the score was not original, you know, and that is a big thing. It shows you that like you do actively need to have the music right if you want to pull off things like this. And again, it's a lost art in some of the episodes, especially the ones that we're watching every now and then. But I think those who know the importance of a good score will see that. And again, using Picard, the current season of Picard as an example, you can compare the music from the first season of Picard to this to third season, and you tell me if someone is paying attention to the score. And
for me, it's one man.
Yeah,
you know, you've got Kurtzman coming in and him trying to. I don't know if he was trying to reinvent Star Trek or just put it in his own image. Probably one or both. It's a possibility. But it was obvious that he wasn't a true fan of Star Trek. You know, Alex Kurtzman. You know, he can say he's a fan, but he's probably just one of those casual ones. I always watch an episode every now and then, never seen the complete series. Yada yada yada. Terry Matalas comes in. And you just know that this guy not only knows what he's doing, has it in his head, and he just is. He's not a fan. He's a super fan. The fact now that he's worked so closely with Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
And Frakes, he's a nice fellow. I met him, but he sometimes can be a bit hard to work with. In terms of, not in terms of his acting, but in terms of creating stuff, directing. So he demands a high level of effort, I suppose. And if you don't put the effort in, his skull just, him and Metalis just work so well together. So it's great when you have somebody who just gets it.
Yeah,
it really is, and just.
But the point is the same in this episode as well, because you can clearly tell between the director, producers, and the writers in this, it was a concerted effort to get the emotional point across through the music. Because otherwise, a lesser director or someone who wasn't, I suppose, like more braver in the position would have just kind of settled for the generic set. It was said, that'll do. But
it would have been the generic, it would have been the generic Picard music from last season. But that's the
same principle,
somebody like that. Same thing. They would have just went for the same basic DS9 music, but they didn't. You had somebody go in and it's like, this has to be emotional. That's what I think they've done with Picard. As soon as you hear that first contact music, you're like, oh, this is going to be different. And it's the same with this episode. Obviously, the people who made this said, we need something different here. We need something that is going to pluck at the heartstrings. And that first 30 seconds, if you just listen to the music and not actually watch it, just listen to the music and it just pulls at you. Absolutely. It is just mind-blowingly good. And
it is.
I wish every episode had music like that, but fortunately
but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that isn't the case, because I think sometimes, like, if you had that every episode, you kind of like I don't know, get used to it. Whereas, like, I look at Enterprise as a good example of this. Enterprise has a fantastically underrated score, and the reason it is because you don't realize the score is there sometimes. Like, you'll have your generic things and so forth, but when you have an episode that does have a genuine point to it, the score is there, and it has been there all this time. It hasn't been added in like on the Netflix version. It has always been there. We just got used to having good scores. There's one episode in particular I remember listening to, which is Shockwave, I think it is. It's a two-parter, and there's a lovely tone to that entire episode. That is just like this kind of like there's like a natural tension to it, but it's also like there's almost like a weird injustice to the music. It's getting across the point that they've been shafted, and it's just kind of waiting for things to boil over again. And then you had another episode, which is The Expanse, which has an entire music suite in and of itself, because it is a literal nebulic expanse. It's like weird, kind of like funky space they're trying to go through, and the music is suiting that. There's something very unsettling about it. So, like, again, every show kind of has its high points with the score. And for me, I'm quite glad that when you have an episode that does absolutely require the score, it is there, ready and waiting. And I think that's a great difference for me. So let's move on to scenes then. So again, we're picking out individual scenes we think are prominent. For me, this episode is defined by its start and its end. Jerry, I don't know what you think about that.
I would 100% agree with that. You've got obviously the end where Todd is there and he's asleep. It's a beautiful day outside. He wakes up and he speaks to his father. The acting in this scene alone, how these guys don't win multiple awards all the time, I just don't get it. So you've got that scene. Then you've got the very beginning from the first second. You've got everything. You've got the rain, you've got the music, you've got the old Jake Sisko sitting there injecting something into his neck, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And instantly, it's just 4 minutes of pure Star Trek bliss. It doesn't have to be sci-fi. It doesn't have to be all about spaceships and transporters and this, that, and the other. Just something as simple as that was just fantastic. Like,
exactly.
I don't know what I'm going to score it though. I want to hear what you're going to score.
Well, I'm looking at an 8 to a 9, and the reason I'm saying is because I don't think there's any irrelevant scenes in this episode either. Everything has a purpose. So, like, when you're jumping back from spot to spot, again, I'm giving a point in here, by the way, for all the transitions, because the story is going at a significant pace. Because essentially, it's saying there's two different timelines going on here. You have the really short one, which is just, Melanie being told a story, but then you've also got this really long, and here's what happened 50 years ago, then 20 years ago, all this, there's what's happened yesterday. And they're all little pockets in time. So each scene does kind of matter. Like they can't really have any wasted movement. The most wasted movement is probably the funeral service, but then Tony Todd is voicing over it, so it's not really doing anything to it. Everything had a purpose. There was no wasted movement. I don't think anything was kind of irrelevant to the episode either. So yeah, I'm kind of swinging to 8 to a 9 on this one.
I will go in between. I'll go 8.5.
8.5. So let's go then to characters. So again, we're looking at character development, character relationships. Are they consistent? Are they not? Yes is the answer. But we'll delve into it in particular. Like this, it goes without saying, but this is a Jake Sisko episode. This is working on that kind of on the aspect of we know how much Ben Sisko loves his son. That is non-negotiable. That is obvious from start to finish. But this is an episode where we get to see Jake Sisko returning the favor. Because if you talk to anybody who has lost a parent, who has lost someone close to them like this, if you're given an opportunity to try and bring them back, if you can understand how they were lost in the first place, and through the magic of science fiction, you're able to bring them back and find a way to get them home, you would take that. Any son or daughter would take that opportunity. They would not just let it be, because we like our normality and we want things to stay the way they are. And despite Jake Sisko in this context being a successful author and having a wonderful wife for 7 years, he has decided to scrap all that to bring his father back, because to him that is he didn't deserve that death. And when I say he, I'm talking about himself. Jake Sisko didn't deserve his father dying like that, and not only dying like that, but coming back every now and then and not truly being dead. So there was more of an emotional pull on that, because if it was just saw a smoldering fucking body in front of him, there'd be closure. But there was no closure each time. It's like having a parent in a coma almost. They're there, but they're not there. It is, and then for people in that situation, it's very difficult. So there's a degree of sympathy there. And obviously, other points will go for me to Benjamin Sisko in this as well, because obviously it takes two to tango here. He's having to live through this little pockets every now and then and having to react to what's going on. Because again, to him, it's probably just blink, 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 and now Sisko is 80 years old, and he's trying to register all of this in short notice. And I think he does superbly, and it's also all consistent with his character. I think I said this during the commentary. If he found out that Jay Sisko had stopped writing, he'd be fucking raging. Don't. Why are you worried about saving me? You're the priority here. You should be trying to protect. You got a wife, you got family, you got kids, all this sort of stuff. But again, it's not even an air of disappointment. There's no hint of disappointment here. He is just trying to understand, and that's all. He sympathizes and he understands, because realistically, he would have done the same thing for her.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. So I think it's a strong category. I think everyone shown in this episode as well. Even Nog, I think Nog got a great bit of love here. I did like Bashir and Dax being the kind of old couple on the pier bickering about chips. That's just funny to me. So yeah, I think everyone's shown really well. I'm again pushing for an 8 or a 9 in this one, Jerry.
I can't really add much to that. To just, I will always think that for me, Avery Brooks is one of the finest actors in all of Star Trek. Simple as that. He really, really is. And the fact that he wasn't even really in this episode that much speaks volumes of just how good he is. Sarah Clofton's portrayal of Jake in this was stellar. And of course, Tony Todd. What can you say about fucking Tony Todd? What did you go? 8 to 9, was it?
Yep.
I'll go 9.
9 it is. 9 it is. Okay, and then we leave then with consequences. So, I'd like to hear what you think in terms of the conclusion to this episode. And we might go from a score from there. I've thoughts myself on this.
I think for me, the consequences aren't huge.
Mm.
I don't think so. Obviously brings them little bit closer together. Obviously, Jake doesn't realize why they're closer together. But you start to see a change in Jake after this episode, because he was dead set on writing his book. He was writing his book at the start of this episode.
Yeah.
And then after that, it changes, and he doesn't write anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he
So
does write, but it's like you see very little of it, and then all of a sudden he's a reporter
Yeah.
during the start of the Dominion War, and you don't hear anything else about it. So his life has dramatically changed.
Mm.
So are they huge consequences? Probably not. In terms of scoring, it's probably the weakest of the 10 categories during this. It really is. It's I'd probably go 5 to a 6.
Okay. Interesting. I'm going to throw a counter argument to you here, right?
All right, go on.
I want to kind of like indulge me in a bit of hypotheticals here.
Well, before you do that, right? I suppose we should think of that. Had this really have happened, the fate
Yes,
of
this
the
is
Alpha
what I was going to
Quadrant.
talk about. Yeah.
So go. Yeah, you go ahead. I want to hear what you want to say.
So follow my line logic here. So let's just say this incident does happen, and the DS9 does indeed lose Benjamin Sisko here. We actively see the consequences of that in the episode, because this is coming at the same time as the conflict with the Klingons. So the Klingons essentially take over, for want of a better word, DS9. We also see the Bajorans now essentially complying with the Cardassians again. We do not even see what happens there, but we can only assume it's a Cardassians, it's going to be bad. But even then, like, all this other stuff, the actual religious icon aspect of it for Sisko, that just it grounds to a halt. So what happens to the Bajorans' like religious beliefs? Do they become more secular? Do they stop believing the prophets? It's a lot of stuff that we didn't even hear about. We can only assume. But even the wider context is that at this point in time, at that start date, Benjamin Sisko is dead. And that affects the context in two different ways. One, you've got obviously the conflict with the Klingons, and two, you've got what would have happened with the Dominion. So the Dominion didn't really rear its head up until, say, the end of this season, where the Dominion was kind of being more Machiavellian and trying to prod the Klingons into whatever conflict they have. Yeah. Now, obviously, by the time Sisko has grown up, it's obviously settled down to the effect that there is still a Federation left, which is great. Not sure about the Klingons, but there's a Federation left. But certainly, whatever happens beyond this point, if there was no Ben Sisko, there's no DS9. There's no Bajoran like religious aspect to it. So I think a lot of things die with him, and the sheer fact that like Jay Sisko does give him a second chance, I think realistically gives that part of the galaxy a second chance, because
I agree.
That changes the geopolitics a lot in that area. So I think when you look at the face value, I think is all that. The other kind of point I'd like to throw in here is that I think this actually starts off a trend of Star Trek episodes in the future series. So the closest comparison I would have before this would probably be yesterday's Enterprise, where it's a premise of character has prior knowledge of something being wrong and tries to fix it regardless of the time. So you can look at it's Enterprise, but also All Good Things, about how like either Guinan or Picard, they sense something is wrong and they're trying to move heaven and earth to fix it and to change it, whatever it is. Whether it's a small thing like the person dying, or like a big wider thing like Picard being at fault for the entire fucking universe, whatever it is. So then you have this in DS9, and to my knowledge, is the only episode that really kind of like hones in on that theme, on that trope. And I probably know if the next episode we're doing on the series is Timeless from Voyager, which is essentially the same episode. It's Harry, Kim, and Chakotay trying to fix what they fucked up like 25 years ago, and again changing whatever like history turned out to be. Then what happens? The last episode of Voyager, Endgame. Captain Janeway just basically has a notion and goes, I don't like the way this future is settled. I want a better one, and that's what she's going to do. And again, further on, Enterprise, we have the episode. I can't remember the name of it now. Basically, it's the one where they see Earth being destroyed, and they all settle on a planet. Then T'Pol and Archer basically become a married couple. And still there's kind of remnants of the Federation there, but I think like Tucker or Malcolm's now in charge of the Enterprise, and
Yes, Archer loses his memory essentially, and
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I get you.
I'll have to look up the episode, but I think it's something along those lines anyway. But the whole point is essentially this is a chain of episodes that are proven to be successful in a Star Trek concept, you know, and I don't think they would have done that without this being nailed on so fucking well the first time.
Yeah.
You know, that's just my kind of opinion. So I think there's consequences from say like an aspect like an abstract sense, but also an in canon sense as well. So I don't know if that affects the scoring at all, but I would say that kind of bumps it up at least 1 or 2 in my book just for that alone. But I would Twilight is the episode called Twilight.
Very good.
That's what it was. The reason I say that is because it's currently the top rated episode of Enterprise on IMDb. So there you go.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah.
But again, much to that point, that type of episode always seems to succeed because everyone likes the idea of the alternate history and someone just changing it to get back to normal. And again, I think it doesn't necessarily start with this episode, but this is where they get the formula right, and they go from there.
I agree.
So yeah, you said 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I am willing to go as high as 7 or 8 on this one.
I'll meet you at 7.
7 it is. 7 it is. So, with that then, where does the Visitor end up as? Well, as always, we'll go top to bottom. So, in last place, again, feeling sorry for itself now at this stage, is the Voyager Conspiracy at 59 out of the potential 100. And just after that is a half point clear is the Arsenal of Freedom from Next Generation. Then we have a jump up then to the Enterprise incident from the original series at 67. Dear Doctor from Enterprise, the first of our character arc that we've done here, is at 71.5. 2 entries then at 72, which is the Doomsday Machine from the original series, and Tinker's Enter Dr. Spy. Then we have 2 entries at 73 points, both Next Generation, that being The Battle and Conspiracy. Our last episode, which was Tapestry, is here in 16th place on 76 out of 100, followed then by Space Seed, point ahead on 77 from the original series. Trials and Tribulations is currently our lowest rank DS9 episode on 79 out of 100. That's in 14th place altogether. Then we have the Next Generation couplet of Q Who on 80 and Cupid on 81. Then we get the serious stuff now with the original series entries, The Balance of Terror and The Trouble with Tribbles, both at 81.5. Into our top 10 now, we have Family, currently 9th on 82, that's from the Next Generation. 2 entries on 83, which is Skin of Evil and The Andorian Incident. And joint 5th at the moment is No Small Parts from Lower Decks at 83.5, and The Visitor from Deep Space Nine, also at 83.5, which means that currently 4th is still Emissary on 84, Amok Time and 3rd on 88, Best of All Worlds 90.5, and In the Pale Moonlight, we're still learning to live with it, a 91 out of 100. So in the end it was a dark horse, Jerry, but still falls up short in a few categories, but still, like, it's very much kind of the point of this season sometimes. It's trying to find the overall consistently in each category best episode, but
yes,
this is still a brilliant one. Either way, you can't, like, it's the one you have to watch either way, you know.
No, I agree.
And like, in fairness, even the top 10 we have here, this is a who's who of fucking like Star Trek episodes, and we haven't even got started on the big ones yet. Like, there's so much to go through. But I think 83.5 is a decent score.
I think that's a great score, because, you know, it is missing a couple of things. It is, even though it's a great episode, it is missing the action and stuff like that, and the consequences weren't huge for it, you know. But, you know, I think it's a fair score. I think it's a good score. It's up in the top 5, so, you know.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
It is going against 3 heavyweights.
Yeah,
or 4 heavyweights, I should say, with Emissary, Amok Time, Best of Both Worlds, and then of course In the Pale Moonlight. Pale Moonlight has been number one now since it came on.
Yeah.
So
It
we
has
will
not been
see.
challenged at all at
We
this
will
stage.
see if anything comes close to it, or is equal to it, or indeed surpasses it. For me, there's one episode, and me and you have discussed this before. There's one
Yeah.
episode I think that could topple it. Um, and I think the only thing that could topple it would have to be a double episode, feature length, and I think the time is coming near when we'll be watching that.
Mm.
And it will be very, very interesting to see if it does indeed topple in the pale moonlight, but we will see.
We will see, indeed. Like I said, we do have some very heavy hitters coming up in the next few episodes, which I'm sure you will all be looking forward to when we get to them. But and the next episode is definitely on the same trend. So as you said, we've done a lot of character minded episodes throughout the different series, and we are starting to now pivot towards our next arc of episodes, which are all about time. As we all know, Jerry, any time-oriented episodes in Star Trek are automatically better by 33%, by a third percent. It's scientifically proven. Look it up. But what we're doing is we are checking on what I suppose he's counting as both a time episode and a character episode. And this one actually counts as a Voyager entry as well. So we are going to be talking about the episode Timeless. We mentioned it earlier on in the show that it essentially is kind of on the same thread as The Visitor almost, but on a slightly different tangent. So this is also quite interesting because this is Voyager's 100th episode. So this is why they did something special for it. It has cameos in it. You'll recall the who was captaining the USS Challenger at the time, who also turns out to be directing the episode as well. And as you all know, if you know the episodes that LeVar Burton directs, they're all fucking bangers. They very rarely miss. Because in the one before this was, if I'm not mistaken, what was the one he did before this? Next Generation. Pegasus. That was the previous one he directed, was the Pegasus, yeah. Which is like, I know it's insane. I thought he did some in DS9, but I don't think he did in the end. But in any case, so yes, we'll see a bit of Geordi LaForge in this one, but a lot of it is very much based on Harry Kim, the long-suffering ensign of Star Trek Voyager. But it's very much him and Chakotay very much trying to unfuck this future they've made for themselves. So, but that is all yet to come for us. That's all to look forward to the next episode. I think it's going to be a cracking episode of myself, I'm hoping. Perhaps my challenge, I don't know yet, but I think it's going to be a fun watch either way. And hopefully it's a bit more representative for what's happening with Voyager at the moment, because it's like, yeah, it's been done dirty so far in the season. But that's going to change very, very soon. Rest assured. But for now, Jerry, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, because I certainly have. Again, we will always take every luxury of enjoying a Deep Space Nine entry. But for now, we are going to have to leave it at this point. And again, hopefully I agree, or you guys agree in the comments with our score. If not, then by all means, let us know down below, and we will certainly take your feedback on board. But for now, Jerry, obviously you've been a busy man recently, but you must tell the people what you're doing at the moment, because I'm sure they want to hear more of you and your dulcet tones.
Wait, what am I doing at the moment?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Well, I'm fresh off being co-host of Comic-Con, which was an unbelievable experience. Getting to meet the Father Ted lads were a real treat. They were amazing, and the other guests as well. Wasn't a single one that weren't courteous and nice and helpful, and even the guys at Comic Con were, the fact that I got the shout for it was amazing, for one, and the support I got from everybody there was absolutely fantastic. It was such an experience, and I thought like what you say about some of the actors on the Star Trek shows that we watched, one and done, but it wasn't. I have officially been invited back for August, which is
Good stuff.
Absolutely amazing. So I don't know who I'm going to be interviewing, but we will see. It certainly kicked me in the nuts. I tell you to want to get the new show up and running, which was something that's been put off now for over a year, because I'm just a lazy fat bastard, and
On the club.
yeah. So I still have the whiteboard here. I still have it ready to go. So Itch Around is hopefully coming in the next few months, and I think I will use the experience of working with Comic Con to my advantage, and get it up and running. I'm also doing it's only for a couple of weeks, but it's been exciting to do. I've been helping Mr. Jer Leggett or Rick Nash or Lego or whatever the hell you want to call him.
Whatever suits me, yeah.
With his show. It's Page 180, I believe the name is. You can find it on Instagram. And I am doing a part of his show called Star Jers, because we're both Jers, and it's called Star Jers, and we discuss each week new episodes of The Mandalorian that come out, which has been fantastic. And this week we will be discussing the final episode of this season of The Bad Batch, which just absolutely stellar, fantastic. So you can catch me there. Myself and yourself have other stuff that we've been recording as well, and hopefully that will be released soon.
Very soon, yeah.
Something that is very exciting. And once again, you can hear what's it, dulcet tones? Is that it? Dulcet tones?
That's the way I primed you, yeah.
You can hear those dulcet tones soon enough there. I'd like to think my acting chops came out in this one, but I haven't actually heard it yet, so we will reserve judgment for then. But yeah, lots going on. We will see what the next few months hold. But what I found very interesting was that I did Comic-Con over the weekend, interviewed the guests, and within 2 or 3 days, Ryan Tuberty resigned. So he obviously fears Jerry Soule. And he was like, "No, I can't compete. We can't compete with him." So
if you get yourself a nice smoke habit, Jerry, you're in for the shot there. Just saying.
It's the second person to say that to me. I'm like, Christ.
I'm just saying, I think if you're shooting for the toy show, that's all I'm saying. I can see you in a lovely jumper,
Well, see, this is the thing. I have actually done the toy show.
Yeah.
And I know people would not have recognized me, but I did. It was one of those bucket list moments. Obviously, I would have liked to be in the audience to get the one for everyone in the audience shtick. We did ask, are we getting one of everything in the audience? They looked at us and laughed and went, "Oh, they're bastards." But I was a stormtrooper on the late. I think it was around about 2015, 2016, something like that.
Yeah, it was about that, wasn't it?
It was around about that, and that again, just another dream come true type of situation. I've been very fortunate and very lucky to have gotten the opportunity to do these things. So the likes of Comic-Con and the shows like the Late Toy Show and stuff like that. The productions I've been a part of as well. It's just been amazing. And hopefully the luck holds out and that continues to go. So we'll see. But until then, we're going to continue recording episodes of Best of All Worlds, and if you like it, please give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. If you don't like it, let us know. Or if you want us to change something, or if you want us to review a particular episode, let us know. It's just a matter of commenting on this video wherever you see it. Obviously mainly YouTube, but any criticism and all, we'll take it on board. If you want us to change something, you want us to add something in, we're here. The sky's the limit. Let us know.
Ideas, absolutely, yeah, 100%, absolutely. And yeah, exactly. I just mirror Jerry's words there. Lot to look forward to in the future, hopefully. Once I get to editing it, because a lot of moving parts at the moment, but we'll get there in the end. But for now, anyway, in terms of Best of All Worlds, that's it for now, and we'll be back very soon with Timeless, the 100th episode of Voyager, where Harry Kim and Chakotay save the day with their grain temples and furrowed brows. But until then, by all means, subscribe to us on Nerds Roast for more of this and any other stuff you want on the channel. But as always, we'll leave you with this.